Welcome to the Bowdudes, a podcast about archery and the lives it has ruined. The Bowdudes are not responsible for diminishing archery skills or lower IQ.
I worry about breathing.
Shut up and shoot.
And I'm totally lost.
God, I keep having to remember that we're PG-13.
Did it help you with those pants?
No, he did not. I'm so glad you have yourself to crack up.
Logic and common sense will not be tolerated.
This is a very interesting podcast so far. Welcome back to the Bowdudes, a podcast about archery and the lives it has ruined. On tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about some hunter ethics and whatever other topics we get into. So let's go ahead and bring on the other guys.
Bob.
Hold on.
Hurry up, I got something to say.
Okay.
Bob, I just realized something. Gary has your hat on. That is a shit hook hat.
Huh? You know it is.
It is, isn't it?
I'm going to have to buy that from you.
I got more.
That is Bob's
Okay.
favorite thing to call my wife.
Shit hook.
Why?
That's just...
'Cause usually,
That's what I was called all the time I was growing up. When I was just,
it's usually
This
right after she's tore one of his arrows.
You were named after a helicopter?
That ain't what she calls me.
Yeah, we
But-
can't say what she calls you.
but yeah, Gary's hat has two hooks on it, and they're shaped in an S.
Shit hook.
It's for stands for the outdoor show. It's a podcast out of
Not anymore,
Jacksonville.
it doesn't.
Not no more. That's a shit hook hat.
Bob will sign it for you if you would like.
Well, we've gone blue on the Bowdudes podcast, so
thank God we're-
mark them all explicit from now on.
Benny,
Hey, I was
say
listening
something
to
bad
some
so we can just
today
go straight to purple. I'm kidding. I'm
We were
kidding.
mild.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell him twice.
Yeah,
I
don't
know.
throw that down.
I looked at him. He's like, I got one.
Well, I'll start off.
I got more than one.
Just been shooting my bow. That's all I've done this week. Getting ready for opening day, which was today. And nobody went.
How'd
did
your
they?
hunt go?
So I'd say you weren't ready for it then if you didn't go.
No, you sound
I
horrible.
had good intentions.
Mm-hmm. We ain't even going to discuss those. Alarm clock pirate.
Yeah.
Premature evacuation.
So
He went down with the ship. I did not shoot at all this week. I've been kind of
Shutting
busy.
up now.
That was my archery stuff.
what'd you do?
We went up and looked at tree stands last weekend.
That's
We
it?
covered
Just go with that, Jack.
that. Okay.
Okay. Bob?
Did we cover that last week?
We did.
Oh,
We played
okay.
in the creek like little kids, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Drove by it on the four-wheeler like, yep, that's tree stand.
Sure is. Still there. Hadn't fallen.
I shot pretty much all weekend long. I shot, went over to Huntsville and shot their Iron Man, and that's where you shoot so many field, half around a Vegas indoor, and I think 10 3D targets.
How'd that go?
It was fun. It was
Yeah?
a blast. I shot good, and then I shot bad, and then I shot good, and then I shot bad.
How'd you finish up? Good or bad?
I was last.
No,
Third
I didn't
in
mean
my
plays.
group.
I meant how'd you shoot? Was your last shot good?
No, my last one was not good.
I was trying to finish on a positive note, but I
Then I
guess
went-
that didn't work.
Sunday I went to Navajo, shot their appreciation shoot is 40 targets. I shot awesome the first 20 targets, and then not so much the last 20. But
You'd be awesome at an ASA tournament then because you only have to shoot 20
shoot
a day.
20, yeah. But it like I sent you all those messages. You shoot 7 really great shots, around 8 or 9 good shots, and 2 not so good shots and 2 really bad shots, and you end up being even. and it's just
Frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, the bad shots count so much more against you than the good shots, but
Look at there,
the
Jack's
good
leaving.
shots felt really good. So
Playing the give and
Yeah.
take game.
yeah,
Jack's leaving.
It
We
was-
hadn't even got started good. Bye, Jack.
It's got to poop.
He's got. It's like, man, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden it hit me. Thunder, what'd you do? Were you done, Bob?
Yeah.
Or we got distracted, but Jack
no.
decided to leave.
Yeah, Jack got up and all of our attention went.
I'm guessing.
He's looking for stuff.
Looking for the Wi-Fi password. Where is it?
Oh boy!
Here we go. Hang on.
All right. Anyway,
But
Thunder,
yeah,
go ahead.
Heck, I just been working. That's about all I've been doing.
I thought you shot last weekend.
So,
Yeah, didn't you go to some?
Didn't you go to?
yeah, I went and shot that deal last weekend. I mean, it was cool.
Challenging?
It, quite honestly, it was probably the coolest thing I've ever shot.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that just with my personality and what I like to do, I geeked out on it. It was 2 targets were flat and level. Everything else was anywhere from 15 to 47 degrees, uphill and downhill.
You shoot all up for 37 yards.
No. No, I mean, it was cool. I mean, like the 80-yarder, it was, I think, 15 or 16 degree uphill, 17 degrees, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was.
So do you have to take off?
Oh, heck, yeah. Yeah, you'd shoot it for, well, I still got, I reckon it's probably still on my phone.
While you're looking that up, what's it going to take to? Is it just too new to get more people to go to that?
You know,
Is it a bad time of year? Or?
It's, I mean, it's expensive to do, but everybody that, when it was talked about and discussed, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get it to where it was an expensive entry fee and you know, a good
payout.
payback. Yeah. All kinds of people said, yeah, I'm coming, and then they didn't show up.
Yeah.
I noticed there was one pro. I mean, regular pro there, Sam Waltus.
Sam Waltus, Mike Leiter, John Vazzi, myself, and Jamie Van Netta. And it was, seriously, it was one of the coolest weekends I ever had.
Darren Rogers.
Yeah, Darren was there. I think there was only 20-some showed up, but it was a modified field round, so there were no walk-ups, no fans. So if it was 80 yards, you shot all 4 arrows at 80. The bunny, all the targets, he moved out 10 yards. So like the 20-centimeter bunny target was shot out to 20 yards.
I can't hit it where it's at.
The 30-centimeter, they moved it out. I think the long on it was 38 or 39. Shooting it like that. Then about at 65 yards, it was the normal-sized target and out. So, but I've got some pictures on my phone I'll show you later. But from standing where he was at and looking at the 80, you can't even hardly see it in the picture. You have to blow the picture up to be able to see the targets. So, I mean, there was a lot of targets that were 4 and 5 yard cuts, you know, just because of the steepness and angle and stuff. And it was cool.
Sweet.
It was cool. Enjoyed it a lot.
But you, Pipper, what'd you do this weekend?
This weekend?
This week in
This
archery?
week? Just shot my hunting bow. Got
Which
my
is?
stuff ready to go.
What's your hunting bow?
Tis a... Excuse me. Hoyt Defiant. 30. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's hanging right there. Behind my wife's bow.
Sweet. All right. Thunder? Or Vinny?
Yes, sir.
How about you?
Good afternoon.
The alarm went off.
I went to a traditional shoot this weekend.
How'd that go?
I've decided that I'd be better off to just throw my bow at them and hope they trip on it and break their damn neck.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
okay, that's not the bow I'd use if I went
when
hunting.
But did you have
shoot-
fun?
I had a ball.
When you shoot traditional, don't you need to practice quite a bit?
Nah, it's overrated.
It's overrated.
See?
And
Only if you want to score.
Only if you want to win. Yeah.
What kind of arrows are you shooting with that? You got wooden arrows,
No, I was shooting carbons,
carbons, and fletching?
feathers.
Okay. Well, hey, we had is that it?
Hang on, I need to.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. My wife cabbaged all of my equipment off my other bow, so I don't really have anything
And
set
Jim, I don't mean to question the shooting at 30 centimeters, but it'd be about that far. Actually, it's 0.394 inches at a centimeter. I'm like, you meant meters, right?
up. That's the size of the target.
That's the size of the
Okay.
target.
you said, you had me so messed up. You said we're shooting at 30 meters. I'm
Gary's
like,
not
30 centimeters. Okay. That's mighty small.
Gary's,
Can you transfer that into standard?
You ought to
I
shoot-
did. It's
look at
0.394.
Bob.
Hey, Gary.
He doesn't have enough fingers
Why,
and toes.
why would you change the face of the target? Don't matter how far it is. We didn't make that 10-inch
It's okay,
balloon we
buddy.
shot at 80 yards. We didn't
It's
make
okay,
it 30
buddy.
inches.
You ought
Jerry
to,
Franklin
I
changed
could
the
have hit it
face
the
of
first
archery.
time.
You're not a target archer. That's all
No,
right.
I'm not.
you ought to shoot a 9.5 yard, 20 centimeter target at 47 degrees downhill. Figure the mark out for that.
If you said that in English, I would consider it.
You didn't have to figure the mark out. You had an app.
Well,
Yeah.
that's exactly
Yeah.
right.
So app off.
But I had the
That in your
chronometer.
pipe and smoking.
But
It'd be an archery challenge. You apped off now, wouldn't it?
but the app coincided with the clinometer. It was
I'm just saying.
pretty
With
cool.
the Huma Watch It.
We didn't
With a
take our 10-inch
clinometer.
balloon and make it this big, shooting at 80 yards for our archer challenge, did we? No, we shot a 10-inch
I would
balloon.
have shot it the first time if I had.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I would have.
You'd have broke my arrow.
When you shoot the angle and multiply by the cosine.
Do my huh?
Julie
go on.
says she only stole your scope.
I'm going to go on your
Yes,
tangent.
she did. She stole my scope.
Stole your scope.
You sounded like it was more than that.
I like that Michael Jackson Jerry curl you got going in the front.
Pretty much enough.
Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah, I have.
Oh,
I have a nice bow set up.
no. Oh, yeah, maybe I can.
What is Julie on there?
What the heck is that?
The Jill Michael
it's-
Jackson Jerry curl.
It's tuned, everything. Nice sight, no scope.
Ask Julie about how cool it was.
What
Yeah.
bow was this?
She might need some more arrows.
Well, there goes next week's paycheck.
How'd you like this shoot,
Yeah,
Julie, if you can hear
she
us?
had some others.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
you run out?
Yeah, she was for what she's doing next weekend. She might not have enough arrows. So she,
No.
Hey, there's plenty around here. Just start looking.
yeah.
He does.
He's already got a dozen in the car. You weren't out here fast enough.
Yeah, her
Well-
her pip shoots the same spine.
Our one main listener,
There's the bird.
Steve Crawford,
Bird.
From
bird,
Hi, Steve.
bird is the word.
Hi, Steve.
he wants to know, he's thinking about changing bows. And he's wanting to go Hoyt, and he's wondering Carbon Spider versus Defiant.
30-inch draw.
I've never shot a carbon spider. I've had a Spider 34
Yeah.
that shot really well. And I've had this one about 3 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And it shoots really well. I like
what's
the
his
new
draw
cam.
length?
I like the new cams
30-inch draw length.
on the Defiant. I can tell you that.
FX cams or something like that?
DFX.
DFX.
And it has a limb stop option.
Yeah.
So
Is it just one limb stop?
top limb?
Top
or
limb?
Top cam. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how do you set that? You just
You
set
just you just set your stop, your timing stops
it based on the top.
because it's got
Okay.
dual stops, top and bottom.
Right.
And then once you set that in your draw board, you just slide your limb stop out around up against the limb
Oh, okay.
and set it there. You can set it
Can you tell
light
a big
on there
difference?
or hard on there. I liked it.
Yeah.
You set your top one just a little bit.
I just set everything dead.
Set
even.
everything dead even.
That's the way I set it. So
All right.
Okay.
Well, that was interesting.
Radio
Did-
silence.
you know,
There's no ready.
You guys are the carbon bow guys. You guys should give him the feedback on that.
Yeah.
What's yours, Jack?
Mine's Carbon Spider, and I like it. So, rookie mistake.
Rookie move.
We have four
Tell you what,
people watching this, and it's all us.
I'm not watching this.
That's
crap.
cutting edge commentary, though. I also have a carbon bow. I like
do?
it. I like it. That's it.
Well,
I don't have a carbon bow. I'm making fun of Jack.
Oh, all righty then.
All righty then.
I like my Carbon Spider, so I don't know what to tell him.
Can you
what I
expound
told
on
What
that?
was the bow you had the previous Hoyt before your
Carbon Matrix.
PSE
Carbon Matrix.
Carbon Matrix? Okay, and
Yeah.
what was your previous
It's mine
Hoyt before that?
Another Matrix, and then before that, I can't remember.
You don't remember having a aluminum Hoyt bow? Hunting bow?
Alpha Max.
I got an Alpha Max.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the Defiant, isn't there a 34 in that also?
That's
Yes,
that's
there
what
is.
he's looking at.
Okay, that's, 30-inch draw. I'd probably look at that.
You're a PSE
The
guy,
what?
Bob.
I've always been a 34
Never
inch
mind.
area.
My PS
Anywhere 34 to 36, I really like, even
Right.
for a hunting bow.
Yeah. Well, he's got a 30-inch draw, but he's used to shooting a
PSC slash.
he's shooting a Martin, and it's like 33 axle to axle right now. So
Right.
34
34 with that new cam's going
The
to
new
feel like a
cam-
38 bow.
is it?
That's what he was saying. He's
Yeah,
like,
that's what he said.
So-
John Dudley was saying on his podcast about it.
I can tell you that this is a 30. Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Demonstration time.
Well, whatever you do, don't go shoot a PSE decree or it'll be all over with.
Oh, be quiet, Bob.
You'll love it.
That's the first 30-inch bow I have had since I shot a AR-31 back in the day.
Yeah.
And it sure does not feel like it. It holds really nice.
String angle feels good and everything.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm crunched up or anything like that. What did you
Yep.
think a while ago when you drew it?
Well, they said
Sure.
the way those cams roll over, you get the string angle of a longer bow. So even with that 30, it probably feels like a 34, 35-inch bow. So it felt nice.
Sweet. All right.
So they're saying get the Defiant
Carbon.
Steve. If you don't
Yeah.
like it, blame Pip.
Right. Well, I was telling him that
Just saying.
if you can still find a carbon spider, you might be able to get it
Piss
cheap.
off, Minnie.
Because the Defiants are like $1,400, aren't they? Carbon Defiant.
I don't know. I don't even price those. They're
Yeah.
out of my league.
The Carbon Defiant's like $1,400, 12 to 14. But the Carbon Spider you might be able to find for $800 or so. And Hoyt, I assume Hoyt's coming out with new bows here in a month and a half. A lot of guys are waiting until the ATA show. Is Hoyt waiting till?
I'm pretty sure from what I heard went down that all the carbon bows that come out at this point, even this year's, are considered 2017 models.
Yeah, because they ended up
Really?
with some engineering stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that's
So-
why people were ordering them, and it was good being like
I know
7
that
months to get them.
One guy I know, a friend of mine, ordered the Carbon Defiant Turbo in Ridge Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
In, I'm going to say,
They never did get it, did they?
yeah, he got it.
Oh, did they?
He ordered it in like February and got it August 2nd.
Wow.
So,
That might shoot over the
he was-
summer anyway.
So last year's Defiant's going to be this year's Defiant.
yes.
So, okay.
Carbon.
If I was him,
that's
I'd
on the
wait a
carbon
month.
bows.
At this late, yeah, but it's the same cams and everything.
That's what I told him. I said, wait a month, and they'll be selling them on AT and getting the new, whatever the new bow is. But if it's going to be the
Right.
same, they may not get a new bow.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, they will.
good info.
I'm still shooting my 6-year-old hunting bow.
Yeah. Can you kill anything with it?
Do what?
Will it still kill stuff?
Say, huh?
I don't know. It shoots arrows, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
He doesn't care about the deer.
Well, that deer,
Or he'd shoot him with a
that
new
deer
bow.
doesn't care whether it's 6 years old or not either.
He just wants to move.
Dan Yazza said, what you guys talking about? I'm up in a tree watching you goofballs. Well,
Watch for deer. Don't
Well, at
watch
least
Watch the deer.
we're not wearing cologne sitting behind Quick Trip.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
is that where Dan hunts too?
Evidently, didn't you see his video earlier? Yeah, he was
Could
sitting
you
behind
see the
somebody
Quick
in
Trip?
somebody's backyard behind a pool.
I can see it. Hi, Dan.
Well,
I'm actually looking at his video, and you can see a pool in the background
yeah.
and like a shelter house.
You could go
Pretty cool look.
His food plot's called a garden.
There
if
is.
if you guys really wanted to, you could go about a half mile that way and probably do pretty good wearing aqua velva.
Here is Dan watching us while we're watching him.
Oh
That's
wow!
high tech.
What bow's he got in his hand?
He's sweating. I don't know. It looks like it's hot.
So, well, the question we had tonight is kind of a question to do with ethics. And so, Bob, why don't you set that up?
Oh, thank you. Here a couple, 3 years ago, just for the fun of it on Archery Talk, I put on first blood or last blood. Who gets to tag it? And basically, my question was, if a deer comes by and you're bow hunting, say public ground or whatever, and you might be fairly close to, or it could go rifle. I mean, I shoot the deer. I get a little bit of a marginal hit on it, say like Vinny said, like on the liver or something like that, and it's traveling a ways before it lays down and dies, and it goes by another hunter, and they shoot it too. Who gets to tag it? So actually, I remember one of on Bone Collector, Michael Waddell shot this buck down in Texas.
That one that went over 1,000 yards.
It went away.
T-Bone shot it.
And I mean, he hit it through the ribs, and then got over there and T-Bone shot it. And
well, who tagged it there?
I think Michael did.
Yeah,
I think. So. But anyway, it's kind of a thing of who,
He's the star of the show, of course.
Who's going to shoot what? Yeah, but T-Bone's bigger.
You might eat him.
I suppose there's a lot of variables. I mean, if it leaves your land and goes on somebody else's land and they shoot it, what are you going to do?
That changes everything, I think.
Yeah.
When it crosses the property line.
Now, if you and I are hunting with each other and you shoot it first and make it's going to be a kill shot, and then I shoot it, I'm going to want you to tag it. Now,
how big is this deer we're talking about?
There you go. That's what a lot of them ask.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why I said that.
Let's just say it's a really big buck that everybody wants.
Yeah.
If it's a really big buck that everybody wants, this is my opinion, and I shoot it first, and it's a liver shot, and then it goes by you and you shoot it in the heart, I want you to tag it because I don't want a deer that somebody else has shot.
You lie like a rug.
No, I swear. I really wouldn't. I'd want you to tag it. If you shot it and it died, I'd want you to tag it. That's just how I feel.
A lot of friendships been lost over deals like that.
Oh, I know. Well, everybody else give their opinion.
I would. Yeah, first guy shot it. Unless like different property, shot him through the hams. Something obviously it's not going to die. Just.
If y'all are there hunting together.
The other's kind of a dickhead move. I mean, if you want to.
For lack of a better way to put it.
Just my opinion.
I'd go with first blood.
I think.
Unless it was one of those deals that, somebody shoots it the next day, that you don't find or something like that.
Yeah, that changes everything.
But if it's one of those deals like when you and I have hunted before, a couple 100 yards apart, and I shoot one and it runs 100 yards and then you shoot it, to me that would definitely be the first guy.
Depends on
who shot it.
Does it get out of sight of the truck?
But
can you see it from the soda fountain?
Maybe the bathroom window.
Okay, so we were close.
So
we're in the ballpark.
So Pib shoots one, and it runs through the backyard. It chokes to death on coffee that Barb made. Take it to him. Does Barb get to tag that deer?
Barb gets to do whatever Barb wants to do.
That's a good point. Right. That's a good point.
You should have heard the discussion last night.
I'm not going to tell you how that sounds.
So, yeah. So I'm talking about going hunting this morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Barb asked me, what are you going to do if a great big deer walks under you back there?
Kill it.
I said, I'm going to shoot it. She said, well, it better be bigger than what you already have on the wall, because if it's not, there's going to be a problem. It may still be a problem, even if it is bigger. I said, how do you figure? She said, well, if you hunt my stand. She says, if you hunt my stand and you kill a 180 out of my stand, I'm going to be upset.
So you guys have seen a 180 back there.
You're just going to have to be upset.
No, but the potential is, there's definitely potential in this.
So that's why you didn't go.
Area.
Speaking of marital bliss,
so
one of us got married a week or two ago. Do you want to expound on that, Thunder?
What would we like to expound on?
We have a newlywed in the house.
There are nuptials.
There was.
Second oldest guy here, and he's a newlywed.
There was archery involved.
Bob's an oldie web.
At your age, you got to be moving pretty slow to get caught.
That her comment on your Facebook deal was pretty funny.
Which one was that?
The one about you being gone that weekend, and we are newlyweds, and
Yep.
yeah, I wanted to go. Newlyweds, you've been living together for 2 years.
Yep.
But they're newly wed.
Got married.
That
That changes
technically,
everything.
yeah. When you sign that dotted line, everything changes.
And your bank account becomes her money? It's different.
So if she has
know.
$20 and you have $5, how many dollars does she have?
25.
Okay, he's got it figured out. They're good to go.
There was a dotted line you had to sign. I better go back and check.
Back when Bob got married,
He just grabbed her by the hair and took her down the aisle.
you hammered
Carved
it
it in
and chiseled
stone.
it out.
God gave you this wonderful gift called bachelorhood, and you blew it in 2 years.
No kidding. I'm sad. I'm sad for you.
I know.
I'm not. I'm happy for you. I really am.
Gold.
You had anything you wanted.
You can suffer along with all the rest of it.
That's right.
I'm joking.
So next time you say we can't go, you can't go, we're just going to go, nah, 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 nah. Told you.
Shoot, that happened the first week. We're doing a podcast. Oh, I can't go.
I can't be there.
Let me ask.
You took her off the market so some other guy don't have to suffer.
Hang on, let me ask.
I
gotta
got
do-
for the team.
I got to put the top level groceries up.
Hey, there was archery. There was archery involved in the wedding.
Top level, hell, middle level.
She's a little on the short side.
The next night, we spent at the Archery Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
So, stop the presses.
Oh, boy.
So what did we do in archery in the last 3 weeks that he hasn't been here?
Nothing.
Now we're going to get it. Come on, spill it. You could have covered all this 30 minutes ago.
This is going to be quite the podcast, isn't it?
It's going to suck like the rest of them.
Yeah, we're going to
So-
ramble forever about nothing.
So Archery Hall of Fame, was Bob there?
Bob wasn't there.
There was no picture that
That's-
said The Godfather?
That's a travesty.
Next year, maybe.
You weren't at the real Archery Hall of Fame then.
But that was pretty cool.
So you got to meet Randy Ulmer?
Randy Ulm, I've met him before.
Yeah.
But
He was
He was
inducted.
Dan Williams, Daryl Pace, and another gentleman from Arkansas that's passed away. I don't remember what his name was, but they were all four inducted. And M.R. James was there. He was pretty much the head of ceremony. Wow. And Kurt Serber did some of the ceremony stuff. Rick McKinney is these are all Olympic archers. Mm-hmm. He's the president.
He got inducted too, didn't he?
No.
Or is he already inducted?
No. Honestly, I don't think he's in there.
Well, I thought it showed Ulmer and Rick McKinney and somebody else standing
Well, Rick
up there.
McKinney was standing there, yeah.
But he didn't get inducted. Oh, okay.
No, it was Dan Williams, Daryl Pace, Randy Ulmer.
Daryl Pace, that's who I'm thinking of.
And,
yep.
and the other gentleman that his name escapes me, but that was a pretty cool deal. Mm-hmm. Ran into some people we know. Darren Collins and his wife was down there. We ran into them. And
is that an invite only deal?
No.
To go to that, how do you go? Do you have to be a member of something?
No, you have to.
You have to be an MBH member.
You have to purchase. I mean, we purchased tickets to go.
Oh, okay.
That was great. That didn't even flinch.
Talking to the microphone.
He's been practicing.
I have been.
So, but we did that, and that was the Saturday night. Of course, that recorded all night, and the next day we went ziplining.
You and those zip lines.
Got her to jump off a 100-foot tower. She did that.
You didn't have to push her?
Did you
Nope.
push her? Jimmy.
Was it to scale?
They
She
had that
jumped right
one hook left, and Jim's like,
Could have been
shove
103.
her.
So, but no, we had a good time. And then the following weekend, I was gone all weekend to that tournament, and then we got our party this weekend. So,
Poor thing. She married an archery whore. Did you even catch that? I said she married an archery whore. Mm-hmm. Okay. It was funny.
Good thing that wasn't a Freudian
You should have
slip.
told us.
I know.
We would have laughed.
Figured somebody would have got it.
Well,
He-
so,
he
okay,
does
so
love
my
to
question
shoot.
would be: if you shoot it,
So,
and it runs by Toby,
ethically,
and it runs by Toby, and she shoots it, who tags him?
he tags it. Toby don't hunt.
She don't hunt.
She says, I just don't know if I could shoot one. I like to eat it. I like to cook it.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if I could shoot one.
It would take her 30 tree stand steps to get 5 foot off the ground.
You got to get her out in the timber and have her shoot something.
So what was your vote, Bob? First blood, last blood?
Mine's first blood.
First blood?
Yeah. I mean, it's unless it's,
Something obvious.
off the heel or,
Yeah.
skipping across the top of the back or something like that. So
Yeah.
If you cut a hoof, I say it's not yours.
I mean, if the guy's not even trying to find it or something like that, then
I tell you what, it's been several years ago, but and this was during rifle season. There was a guy that this deer come along and just kind of stuck its head. It was a really, really super nice buck, I guess, and he shot it, going to shoot it in the neck, and it went down in a heap. He's got an artificial leg, so he gets down out of his stand, goes over, gets on his four-wheeler, and drives up to it. And actually gets off the four-wheeler and stands there looking at it, and it gets up and takes off. Well, he goes and gets help, and they come back. Well, the next morning they come in, and there's several of them walking, trying to find this deer. Or, they don't know whether it's dead or what. Well, a deer jumps out of this draw and comes running up and runs right by his best friend and stops, looks at him, and takes off again. And the guy didn't shoot it, and they were there to get that deer. So they said, "Why didn't you shoot it?" Well, I'm not shooting your deer. That's your deer. You got to shoot it. They ended up not getting the deer. And there was some bad blood between those two for a little while because the deer ended up getting away and stuff. Now, with a rifle, he was at the time I think he was shooting a 22-250 or something like that. So not a real large caliber bullet to really keep a deer down, hit it in the neck, and that deer got away. But I think personally myself, listening to all the stories and stuff, the way he was running, that the deer lived. But anyway, that was the first blood, almost second blood type of thing.
Yeah.
Should have been second blood, but
I thought you were going to say he took his artificial leg off and beat it to death. That's what I was.
the visions that go through that boy's brain,
Would you like to be in there just for a little while?
No way, no way.
Dave Rhodes says, enjoying the podcast.
There's a big open space to swim around in.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave. Thanks for watching.
Hi, Dave.
Hey,
Listen.
Dave.
I'm kind of torn on this, but I think I agree with most everybody else. If you put a good shot on it, I mean, even, if you're off an inch or two and you miss it a little bit back or whatever, and it's going to die, I think it's yours. If it makes it all night and you come up and it's still in there the next day and somebody else shoots it, you almost got to give it to them. But if you made a good shot and I think you almost have to claim it.
I mean, if I shot one and say, it was getting ready to go across, and even though it was a good shot,
they still run.
and you
I mean,
thought, and it came by you, and you thought it was going to go across and maybe, get on a neighbor that you're not really supposed to go on or anything like that, I would really expect you to shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again.
Yeah.
So
It shouldn't be that big a deal. People ought to be able to sort that kind of stuff out without it being
yeah,
the end of the world. And
Well, I think
you
they
just
can.
you just said a
Egos
key
involved.
word. People ought to.
right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, as bad as it sounds, it goes back to size.
but I mean, yeah, and that was one of the key things on AT. I think, if I remember back, I meant to get on there and try to look back up and see all the comments and everything, but that's what it kind of got, drawn to was, well, how big was the deer? Doesn't matter how
That
big the
shouldn't
deer
matter
is.
at
Yeah.
all.
And but yeah, it's that's
Well, what if you're sitting in your tree stand and here comes this buck moving slow down towards you, and you're all excited you're going to shoot this deer. It gets up there, kind of walks out, just gives it a view of the vitals. You shoot it. It runs a little ways, goes down, and you walk up to it, and somebody had a liver shot on it. And there's blood. You follow the blood trail back.
I'd backtrack it and find the guy. And
You follow
offer it to him.
blood trail back to your neighbor's house.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah, and it better not be on us. So.
Right. Yeah,
Be on from the
you
neighbor.
can definitely follow the blood trail back, and it crosses the fence or crosses the boundary, whatever.
Yep.
Oh, had pictures of a really, really nice deer there a few years ago. I had him on Facebook there, and the first day I got to go hunt, I was out there in the stand, and all of a sudden I hear voices to the south of me, after about an hour or so after daylight, and down in where they deer bed and everything. So I get down and go over there. Well, the guy on the neighbors had shot this deer the day before, and they were tracking it. And actually, they were coming back out. They were giving up. And I said, what are you giving up for, And he explained the shot, and it was a pass-through and 18 yards. And I come to the conclusion he shot it through the brisket. But so I told him, come on, we're not giving up on this deer, we're going to go see if we can find it. And he said, well, I didn't want to go any farther back in there and he'd already called my brother-in-law and said he could, told him to go get the deer. So I spent the next 2.5 hours tracking somebody else's deer, which we ended up not finding, but I still think that deer, I never got any more pictures of him or anything that year, but I think that deer was from just listening to the guy. You don't have a pass-through at 18 yards and, hit him through a vital spot, and he goes 500 yards or better.
Still, what you did was the right thing to do.
But
you just
I wasn't happy, but,
right?
But I was gonna help him find the deer anyway. But there again, we.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Podcast lesson.
But yeah, it's you track it back, find whoever, and tell them good job.
Yep.
What about you, Pib? First blood, last blood.
First blood for me.
First blood.
Yeah. Barb can tell you a story about that, though.
Well, you tell us. She's not here. Let's go get her.
Barb, come here.
She's cooking. Leave her alone. No, she was hunting right back here. And
Behind Quick Trip.
come on now. Quick Trip's 2 miles.
It was a break time then.
What happens if you shoot one in the liver and it runs into Quick Trip's parking lot and a guy finishes it off and he's putting it in the back of his truck and you walk and you trail it to Quick Trip?
If he's got guts enough to shoot his bow in Quick Trip parking lot, he can have the deer.
What did he finish it off with? Wrap the cast nozzle around its neck and choke it to
Pocket
death?
knife.
I don't know. The Quick Trip drips just never get
Anyway,
old.
she was hunting back there and had this deer come running through. And she sees it coming and gets up, gets ready to draw her bow, and then it dies right under her stand.
That's handy.
Scared the hell out of it, didn't she?
And
So she had a rage on her. Huh?
That's good.
I can't wait. I'm going to go shoot a doe this weekend.
so anyway, yeah, that was an exciting evening. So I went back, found the deer, went and found the guy that had shot it and told him, hey, it's over here. Because they were going completely the wrong direction.
Wrong direction.
Looking for it. So
Well, let's talk about that. How long? Oh, are you done?
no, go ahead.
Okay, no, go. Are you
No,
done?
I was done.
Okay. How long? When do you give up on a deer?
It's a long time.
It is a long time.
Yeah.
And it
That's
has
found.
a lot. It has a lot of variables to it too.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes I don't give up on them. I keep, it's I hate losing them. So, if I don't get it found, and I'm, pretty sure that deer is expired, I had this one on A2 too, I think, because I check my deer in. I'm done. I'm done with that tag.
I'm not so sure if that's not what the law says.
That's what I tried to tell people, but I had people
I
saying,
just read it the other night. I should have brought the book.
"Yep." And they said, "Why would you tag a deer that you didn't get?" That's because basically that's what I interpret the law as saying, that That if you consider it part of your bag,
Yep.
and so I have tagged deer that I have not gotten before. I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't like it because I didn't find the deer.
Right.
But
Well, it's not a deer thing, but it was mentioned the other day about Ted Nugent and a game violation here a few years ago, and it was that kind of a deal. It was on a bear hunt that it went in and down in the rib cage and came back out, no blood, no anything on it. They didn't find any blood, didn't find the animal. But that's what he ended up getting in trouble for.
Because he didn't tag it.
Yeah.
He didn't notch his tag or whatever.
As I understand it, yeah.
Well, I know, just like
because they never found, no blood trail, no animal, no anything.
Then he killed another.
you have
another
to,
bear, I think.
you have to make a reasonable attempt
Yes.
on any game, basically, and then include it as part of your bag.
Right.
Is the way I read it.
I know I went and bought a dog to help because I had two women. My wife and daughter were hunting, and I don't see blood all that well, so I went and got a dog to help.
Is that Otto?
No.
Well,
The
Well,
official
and then-
podcast wiener of Bowdudes?
What I don't understand about the dog thing is you can't have any weapons on you
Right.
when you're tracking with the dog. So what if you track it up and you find it wounded? Then you got to go all the way back, leave the
Yep,
dog,
yep.
pick up your weapon,
I'm
and go back and hope it's still standing there.
I'm seeing
you
Otto
know?
on point with a buck.
You got to notify the game warden, and you got to
You
make.
laugh,
I
Vince
forget
Griggs.
how the
Another fine
I'm
law
just saying
written
it.
to you by some bureaucrat somewhere
Yeah.
that has absolutely no clue about
Right.
anything.
Well, I know a boy that used to work in our office. He received a ticket once for basically wanton waste because the game warden was watching him duck hunt, and he shot this duck and went out to try
Hey,
to get
Jack,
it,
are you still filming?
and it kept it kept diving, kept getting away from him, and finally got in the weeds. He didn't have a dog or anything, and he ended up not retrieving the duck. He went back to his blind. The game warden came up and gave him a wanton waste ticket, and because he said that he didn't make a good enough attempt to retrieve the duck,
really.
and I think he was trying to get him for not including it into his limit, but he got out of both of them because
Yeah.
it was he had told the judge exactly what all he had done to try to get the duck and stuff, and then it got in the high weeds where he couldn't find it, or so he told me. He got out of the ticket anyway,
Right.
But he didn't. He wound up not having a ticket for it because he wasn't over his limit by the time the game warden got down there. So, but that's why I know of people that rip the hindquarters off and the back straps and throw the rest of it, the front part away, the front shoulders.
And
Man,
Missouri doesn't really.
You can get in big
Yeah,
doo-doo
yeah.
for that.
That's wanton waste. I mean,
Yep.
that's
Missouri doesn't really specify. In Colorado, it's the front quarters, the hind quarters, the back straps, and the tenderloins is what you're required. Here, it just says wanton waste. So, are you supposed to take the rib meat? Are you supposed to take the neck meat? It doesn't really specify.
yeah.
So
I guess it'd be up to
interpretation of whoever
of the
wants to
game
give you
board.
the
Yeah.
ticket.
But I mean, it's one of those things where, like I said, if I wound one and it gets away, and I pretty much tag it.
that's the honorable thing to do. I don't know if I would or not.
I'd
be honest
swear,
with you, I'm
I'd
not
swear him
sure.
down. You shot it. I'd be like, he did.
I mean,
it.
how many times? When you look at it, though, how many times have you filled all of your deer tags?
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
So
Counting last year? None.
no, you don't have to count last year, Vinny. But
It's pretty sad. We got this app in Missouri called the Mo Hunting app, and you can look up all your telecheck, your tags checked for years back, and you can trace it all the way back to when Josiah started hunting, and I don't think I've hardly tagged anything.
Having kids changes things.
It does,
completely.
and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine with me. So,
Yeah, ever since I've had Vinny, I
you haven't tagged anything. Why don't we?
You just took him to raise, though, didn't you? That was kind of an accident.
Hey, can we talk about
I was gonna
something?
say, if you had me, that
We can talk about anything you want to.
Can
But we
we
got to talk quick.
Can we talk about, like, let's say you're taking a hunter out to help him, and he's sighting down on a really nice buck, and that buck steps out of the way, and another one steps in its way.
and they shoot it and send you a text saying I'm sorry.
Has that ever happened?
Just once.
dead is
The other time he wasn't sorry.
What happened?
They were
Vinny?
still mostly dead, weren't they, Vince?
I don't know what you guys are even talking about.
Tell us the story.
Bang.
No,
Come
He
on.
shot him dead. Bang, bang.
How big was the one that you?
no, it wasn't.
How did it happen?
Hang on, we want your story.
How did
Bob,
you-
take your headphones off.
how
'Cause
did
we want
you-
your real story afterwards.
How did you lose the target acquisition?
Well, I had to turn around to pick my rifle up, and when I turned around, they had moved, and I just shot the deer that was standing where he would been
Yeah, because
before
deer
I
never.
turned.
Deer,
Because deer never move.
when you see them, they're like, "Oh crap, he saw me. I might as well just stand here."
Yeah,
Did it have a decent rack?
it was.
Why did you have to turn around to get your rifle? That is another question.
It was.
In the back seat of the truck.
The deer were on my right side. I was in the back. Deer were on my right side. My rifle was hanging on the left side. I had to turn around and pick my rifle up.
And there's this. It had to be the fastest text ever because
As soon as it went down, you know how they'll roll their head. I was like, "Oh crap! That is not what I thought I was shooting."
I'm on the other side of the farm and I hear this boom and there's an echo. And mind you, I've got him in my ridge. You know
Was
my
he in
spot.
in the dead?
He was right by the hedge tree. I think.
You couldn't put him in the real hedge tree.
But yeah, the echo had not even went through the timber yet, and I'm getting this text. I'm
I
sorry.
was like, "Oh crap!"
And
So is the 4-point rule in effect?
It had
No.
4 points.
It did
had
have
4
oh yeah,
points.
what did it?
It was a little 8-pointer.
Okay.
It took his 2 horns and a hoof to make 4
Did
points.
he taste good?
It was delicious.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
Did you hear anything like that would have been a good one in 2 years?
Or 6 years.
I was still laughing by the time I got over there because I knew what had happened. Yeah, it was pretty good. It's easy to drag.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it run up to the cemetery and died.
Yeah, I know. That's what I say. It's easy to drag.
Not because
When
it was small.
you're driving the 4-wheeler,
Then he says,
you
"Don't-"
look at the headstones and go, "Sorry, excuse me, sorry."
But he
Didn't
said,
mean to
"Don't
drive
drag
on
it. Don't drag it by the horns. It'll break off."
I'm trying to think about the logistics of this whole thing. Why was your deer rifle behind you?
It wasn't. It was
It was-
to his left.
I
The
was,
deer came up on the
The
right.
deer came up kind of behind me to my right.
Okay. Are you sitting in a tree stand? A tree stand
Yeah.
or a ground blind or
This is ladder stand
ladder stand? Okay.
with the hook.
Oh,
To
the
my left.
deer's hanging or your gun's hanging. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Trying to ladder stand. It should have been in your lap. Ben.
And when he was texting you, all of a sudden he heard a noise and looked up, and the deer was standing there. To his right. So he had to finish his text.
I was texting Bob.
You weren't texting me. You was texting Jack, I think.
I didn't even like Jack then.
Okay. You do now?
Until we started this conversation, it was fine, wasn't he?
But he had to finish his text, put his phone down, get his rifle.
The amazing part was the phone stayed on him and not on the ground.
Thunder.
And we're not really sure whether it was the second buck that he shot, or the third one, or the fourth one by the time he got ready. But he killed it anyway.
Thunder. We
Oh,
need
it was an awesome shot.
we
Yeah.
need a technical tip. So be thinking.
What could Vinny have done differently?
Seriously, we need a technical tip for this podcast. We've been lacking in that. So
It's because
Come
Thunder
up
ain't
with
been
one.
here.
What are you going to...
How to properly use an iPhone 6 XL.
In your deer stand.
Expound on
that never gets old.
Mine's not an XL,
I-
right?
I'm thinking they need to come up with a heat sensing app for hunting.
A heat sensing app.
Right.
You can get a heat sensor to put on your phone.
You mean like a thermal imaging sensor?
Yeah.
A thermal imaging scope on your.
In other
bow.
words, he wants to be able to see how many deer are out there if they moved, and if he's shooting the wrong one.
Right.
Those are called eyeballs.
Squirrels. Get your eyes off my balls.
So, and for the squirrels, you want some seismic sensors.
Right.
So when that 180 that you hear coming through the woods towards your stand, when it actually turns out to be just a booner squirrel.
180
Dude, I saw
squirrel.
one of those last year. That squirrel was a giant. He was an 18-pounder. I couldn't believe it. It looked like a beaver climbing a tree.
I've
It was
seen a,
gigantic.
I've seen
We
a
got him right
possum.
back here. Barb feeds him.
All right.
I've seen a possum the size of a coyote.
Man, it's been a couple of years ago, but I swear there was a coon around where I had some of my stands, and you could see this coon 300 yards across a field walking down on the tree line. It was as big as a basketball. I mean, it was fat.
Yeah.
And there's probably 4 of them going, hey,
Okay,
watch this. Let's all get together.
Let's piggyback.
here's another one.
Okay.
You're in your stand, you hear a dog running, and you know he's chasing deer. And the deer comes by your stand, comes by and stops, and you know that deer has been pushed by that dog, and the dog's running the track, coming around. Do you shoot the deer?
How big's the deer?
It's a big deer. It's a big deer. It's one it's a deer you've been hunting, and you've been waiting for this opportunity, and there it is.
Okay.
Now, by law,
well,
it doesn't matter how big the deer is.
I know. I'm
well,
just setting
I know,
it up.
I was being
I'm just
facetious
setting it
anyway,
up.
but
No, it
if
matters.
it's not your
I mean,
dog,
let's
if
not-
it's not your dog and somebody else's
No,
dog
no,
is running
no.
it and it comes on your property,
I'm
I
not
don't see a
sure the
problem
rules
with it.
say
No, I'm not sure it's
your dog.
technically legal.
yeah, but how can you stop that dog from running the deer?
There's only one way, and you're not supposed to do that either.
Well, that's the best option. I
What
agree
if-
with that.
what
But
if
I've
the
had
deer
dogs.
comes-
You mean you're talking just some random dog?
Yeah.
Out.
I've had that happen. I've been in a tree when a Great Dane did that. And down the tree I came to
Did you
run
put
this-
money on the deer?
I
He's
went
like,
down
I got
to run the dog off, and the dog ran me back up the tree.
I had a dog sit down and growl at me. He
So-
saw me moving the
You ain't
stand.
gonna. Some of them. You ain't gonna go down there and scare the dog off. They don't care.
That's when it's imminent danger, and you must take care of it. Like a
But
rattlesnake.
I really think the way
With a Great
I think
Dane,
the
yeah.
way the law is supposed to be stated and
Intended.
everything else, it's basically you're not supposed to hunt with dogs to run deer to you or whatever and shoot. So I really think if you talk to any game warden and
Just interpretation.
yeah, and if a dog, because you don't know if especially if the dog's not in sight, you don't know if he's on that deer's trail or whatever. Because I've had bird hunters come through on the neighbor, and and deer come running. They pushed the deer out. It was late and they was yarded up, and there were several deer. I mean, the dogs weren't really running, but those deer wouldn't have come by me at that time if it hadn't have been for the dogs going through that. That.
And what if those guys didn't have a deer license?
Well, I mean, they were quail hunting.
So what's
doesn't matter.
what's the verdict on it? Are you allowed to?
Technically,
There you go.
if somebody's not supposed to do a deer drive or help you deer hunting if
Yeah.
they don't have a deer license.
Well, that's true.
The
Yeah, I
dog
hadn't thought
goes.
about that.
Somebody's quail hunting and their dog goes through and jumps a deer up and it runs by. You can't kill it, but if
But I mean,
they kick a deer up and runs by you, you can.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
but
That
I mean,
makes
there
no
was like
sense.
there was like
yeah, that
15
makes
deer,
No sense.
busted out and come running through.
See, and I wouldn't
Now,
consider
if
that because we raise
dog,
quail.
If the dog was nipping on the deer's heel, I can see it. If you can hear the dog barking, the deer runs through, you don't see the dogs anywhere, and you
Yeah,
shoot it, and then a couple minutes later, here comes the dogs.
But see, there you go. It depends. Cause,
I know,
because if it's a hound, it's going to be running by scent, not by sight.
Exactly.
Right. But if it's
If it's a house
if it's a
dog, he's gonna
bird
be
dog,
running.
if it's a
So-
bird dog, it's not out there hunting deer because a trained dog anyway is not going to
You're
not
gonna-
going to turn off and go hunt deer. They're going to hunt.
You know.
They're going to hunt birds.
Until they see
No.
the
Oh
deer.
yeah, we raise bird dogs. Trust me, they
yeah,
will.
Yeah, they will chase rabbits. They will chase squirrels. They will chase.
Depends on how
coons.
they're-
And that's when that shot collar hits them. They're like, God, I was looking for a bird. I was just took a little detour.
Not with my dad. He just peppered their ass.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, same thing.
So
That was
the
just
deer-
a
so-
lead shot collar.
A big buck that you've been hunting runs through, and you hear a dog barking, and you think, "Oh, that dog's chasing it. I'm not going to shoot it."
I'm smoking
And
it.
then the dog gets closer, and then the dog goes that way.
I'm
wasn't.
smoking
Listen to him.
It wasn't even
he
on the
kills
trail.
one deer. He's over. I'm smoking.
We're talking. We didn't say with a bow. I don't know how many deer I've killed with a rifle.
Oh, okay.
But I had a really big buck come through, and stopped at like 18 yards, and he was just in the thick enough stuff I couldn't get it. But the dog wasn't running that deer because the dog ended up running a doe back by me.
Yeah.
And I had people telling me, well, you couldn't have shot, you wouldn't have been legal shooting that deer anyway. Well,
It's not legal to shoot the dog either.
The deer came by me because the dog ran down through its bedding area, and it jumped to come out. But that dog was not chasing that
particular deer.
Okay.
So
You're not actively running dogs. Somebody's house dogs, stray dogs just out loose.
Exactly, that's
How's
what it
that any
is.
different from a coyote chasing a deer?
It's not.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, what about that? It's a dog.
See, to me,
The coyote's
if there's a, I mean, no offense to any game wardens that might listen to this, but if a game warden's going to write you a ticket over
There's
something
nobody
like
listening to
that,
this.
that's
Sorry.
BS.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't get to shoot the big deer, but the time when the quail hunters come through and the dogs ran that whole pile of them over, I did shoot 2 of those.
But then again, your
Hey,
story
man.
about your buddy from Oklahoma or wherever with the tag
Yeah.
laying on the truck
Guys
seat,
gotta have
that
camp-
was
camp
BS
meat.
too.
It's what it was. It
was
was
obvious
It
he
was
had a tag.
January, and snow was on, and I shot 2 of them.
Now, where I grew up in southern Missouri, running deer with a dog is not legal, but it's just a way of life down there. I just
When I was a kid, everybody up and through there had an old hound that had gotten caught in a fence, and they amputated a leg or something. Everybody had a 3-legged dog, and it was to train their pups with. But they got him out.
I
Best
know,
deer
push
hound you
deer,
ever seen.
yeah.
But
I know a lot of guys that run deer with short-legged beagles because they just pop them around and on the hollers and
Yeah.
stuff, and they don't really chase them completely out of the country like with a hound.
Yeah, because a lot of times those deer they'll do like this big buck did. He just
It
he
was
went,
legal
fell
wherever we grew up.
right in behind the dogs.
Were you hunting with me back here the night the 2 labs were chasing deer all over back there?
No.
I thought you might have been. But
is there
yeah.
still 2 labs?
1.5.
There is. I
Or
mean,
if I was, I don't remember it.
yeah, sometimes I have a hard. I mean, I'll shoot a coyote, but there's some. I'm a dog guy, so it'd be tough for me to shoot.
We grew
a
up
dog.
raising them. It doesn't bother me.
I'm a dog guy too, but when that dude sits down and looks up at me and growls,
Yeah, he wouldn't.
it's over.
It's go time.
Yeah.
It's go time.
You could just take your rage broadhead out of your quiver and
Wave it at him?
deploy it, and it just kill him.
It wasn't
Okay.
your fault then.
Are you going to take
Here's,
that, Jack?
here's another ethical. I don't care. I'm going to go kill a doe with
Wow, that was
my
a-
rage
that was
this
a look.
weekend.
You're going to go wounded. I'll shoot it with the kill zone.
As long as it doesn't come open between you and the.
It won't.
That happened a long time ago. They've done a lot of
That's
fixer upper stuff. They glue them back now.
All right. Thanks for listening. And no,
They are they are made with
you wound a deer. and
aircraft grade tinfoil.
You wound a deer and you track it, and it's standing in a creek in about 6 inches of water.
It's a creek.
Yeah, we did. We went over this last week.
It's a creek.
No, we didn't. Did we?
No,
creek
Yeah.
part.
Crick and Creek
Oh.
we did.
Yeah.
Well, it's a creek. Where I come from, it's a creek.
Frickin' Yankee.
Creek.
It's standing in, about ready to die, but it's not dead, and it could stand there for another 30 minutes.
Shoot it again.
Stand in a creek.
So?
Can't
Drown-
shoot, you
drown
can't
it?
shoot a deer in the water in Missouri.
That's already been shot, and you know it's already
It
been.
doesn't say that in the rule book. It says you can't shoot a deer in.
There'd be another freaking lawyer. Jeez.
No, there'd be another freaking arrows. What
I
there'd
mean,
be.
when it comes down to it, nobody's there watching. But what's the old saying about what you do when nobody's there watching?
But you see, I really don't understand that one either. I mean,
I've
because
had some tree stands that are overlooking creek crossings and stuff, and if they're right in the middle of the creek crossing, then it's creek.
if they're standing, what's the advantage? Are they standing there getting a drink, or are they talking about
Swimming
water deep
or-
enough to swim?
Yeah,
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
and they're restricted because they're almost swimming. You know,
Right.
the water's so deep.
They're there bathing their wounds.
I've seen him.
washing it
I've
out.
seen him go through 2 feet of
Trying
water
to
like it
improve.
wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how we're doing on the camera. They're going through that water like it was no big deal.
Belly deep.
Mach 2.
yeah. But so I've never understood that one. Just doesn't make sense. like I said, if they're standing, does it say a stream or does it say water? So
it
if
says
there's
stream or pond or what. I should have brought a book.
Does it say crick?
Does it says pond?
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. You can look it up.
Now, is it ponding water? No, I mean, because it could be anything. If it's in a, like for instance, when we were antelope hunting, that water.
Hell, I've seen some flooded bean fields
water
that somebody
tanks,
could be construed as a pond.
Here's
that's
another
that's what
one.
I meant. Would that be considered?
Here's another one. And one of the largest deer that's been killed in Missouri was killed at this, during this time. If they are displaced by floodwaters, you
Can't
are
shoot
not
'em.
supposed to shoot them. Okay, which in different times over there in Sheridan County, the Grand River gets out, Swan Lake gets out. How do I know? If I'm hunting up in the
check their
hill,
ID.
how do I know that deer came from the bottoms down there and got displaced?
You got to
by
check their
floodwater.
IDs first, Bob.
But like I said, there was one of the biggest deer killed
Check your green
was in
card.
there south of Swan Lake, and he walked through some basically floodwaters and got back in there and shot it, and it was huge.
What if they've been displaced by a drought? What's the difference?
It doesn't say drought in the book.
It's
That's the
dry.
difference.
They've had to go somewhere else to find water. You're taking advantage of it.
Hey,
Okay,
we're not in Detroit
We can't bait deer in
or
Missouri.
Flint.
I mean,
What if you're hunting over a cornfield and you can't put out corn, but the combine comes through, its hopper's full,
well, it's legal.
or
It's legal.
let's say
It's
they're-
legal.
Yeah, let's say the hopper's not full and the auger wagon's pulled up beside it and it's going down the field, and right when it gets in front of your stand, it starts dumping in the auger wagon and it dumps.
That is impossible.
It dumps a gallon of grain right in front of your tree.
A gallon?
stand.
If it,
dumped like a 55-gallon barrel, but we'll
Well,
call it a
50
gallon.
Yeah.
Somehow you better have
A bushel.
proof that that's what placed that corn there. I mean, somehow.
I mean, but really, you can't hunt displaced deer from a flood. No, but you can take advantage of drought conditions and hunt over a little pothole pond.
Yep.
How is that any different than they're being displaced by no water then?
Because the book doesn't say drought.
Yeah.
It
They're not
says
being
water.
displaced. They're not trapped. They're going, and I guess
Yeah, they are too. They're trapped. If they want to live, they got to go find some water.
Deer can swim, too. They're not really trapped, ever.
Yeah,
Well,
they can
if,
swim at a
if there's a
young
drought,
age,
they don't
too.
have to swim.
But I saw in '93 when the levees busted and stuff, all the deer, we were down watching as the water was eating up these acres of beans out across through this big bottom, and there were deer coming, out of the timbers that was kind of scattered around through there. They looked like spiders and ants coming out of there. I mean, they were coming out. And some of them ran over on this little bitty high spot, and there were some small fawns in there. Water come up around them. Finally, it got up into their legs, and they took off and they swam. I mean, they small deer.
Yeah, we
real
had
small
about a
deer.
2-acre lake in front of the house growing up. I've seen deer swim right across it. Just
But yeah, that
That's some
and
lazy
it,
deer.
and it was deep water.
A 2-acre lake that they wouldn't walk around.
Yeah,
They just
yeah,
swam
and it
across.
does about it was 10, 12 foot deep in spots, and they just like a dog swimming across it.
because at that time in '93 when there was water everywhere, you could drive from Brunswick to Minden up 11 in the hills, and there would be deer bedded along the highway. They were just
Didn't have any place
just
to go.
thick. They were out of their normal spots,
That
But,
makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean I just don't understand the how they would even interpret the law if somebody killed one, that way. It just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of rules in there.
Now,
A lot of rules in there that need to be taken out or
We-
changed or made.
Clarified.
Clarified.
here in
Exactly.
Missouri, we just went to constitutional carry, but
Effective January 1.
effective January 1. But a lot of us in here anyway, are concealed carry holders. And while you're hunting and you're a concealed carry holder, you can carry your weapon. Does it have to be concealed?
No, you can open carry, too.
I thought it was always legal to open carry.
It is.
I mean, not during archery season. You can't have a weapon on you, but
You can now.
You can with a
concealed carry, but does it
They
have to be
changed it a
concealed?
couple years ago. You
Because
could
it's
have a
very
sidearm
uncomfortable
with
to sit in a tree stand with a concealed carry,
Yes, it is.
especially if you have
Just put it in your
just a
backpack.
little bit, like maybe a quarter, half an inch of fat hanging
I
over.
was going to say, that's going to say if you'd lose a little weight, it wouldn't dig in quite so bad.
So I like to wear mine on a holster on the outside of my pants, but
You know, they
do I need to pull my shirt down over it?
I put mine in my bag.
have you checked into a bra holster? They do make those, I've heard.
My question
Why
is,
is he on the podcast?
They've also got some yoga pants holsters now.
I've seen them. Jack would look outstanding.
my question
He'd
is,
be outstanding by
Do they
himself.
come in camo?
why do you carry a sidearm? Is it for Sasquatch or is
Yes.
it for the spiders?
Okay, to his credit, we could have shot some of the spiders last weekend. They were that big.
I saw a guy shoot one
It's
with a blowgun on a show the other day. There's a spider. I don't know. He was down in Mexico or South
They have big
America or
spiders down
someplace,
there.
Africa or something. Yeah, and
Spiders got ticks.
he shot this spider with that blowgun. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, we've come to that portion of the show that where
Doesn't
we
suck.
This is a show.
where we answer the most difficult technical questions out there. It's a portion that we like to call the Thundercast.
Oh, Lord.
Boom, 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 boom.
So, Thunder, it's all up to you right now. Go. Thundercast, go.
Tech tip of the week.
What's the question?
Exactly.
I told you there's a second ago.
You
to have-
said there was a technical question.
I don't have a question.
You had to come up with it.
I said
Tiller tuning on a recurve.
How's a cushion plunger work on an Olympic?
On a
Let's hear
self
it.
bow.
Let's hear it. You've cut down a cane pole. You're now going to use it for a bow.
why don't you talk about cuts or something like that? You had to do a lot of cuts last weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And how does that affect a normal bow hunter sitting in a 15-foot tree stand? Does it affect them at all?
Or
Do they need to
45 feet
worry
if you're
about
hunting
it?
with Jack.
Should you shoot your bow out of a 15-foot tree stand and practice out of it to see where your arrows hit, or is that trajectory going to change at all? Is it going to matter?
Sure, you should, and it depends on. I mean, it depends on how accurate you actually want to be. But you hear a lot of people talking about when they shoot out of a tree stand, they hit high.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a pretty common occurrence.
What
Would
if you shoot
Would you
uphill?
all agree?
How
So
did
if you
they
shoot
kill?
uphill, you hit low, right?
No,
Huh?
it's the same
What?
thing.
You cut yardage both directions.
How's that work?
It's if you think
Ancient
about it,
Chinese secret.
cuts.
This isn't
shooting,
the Vinnycast. It's Thundercast, so shut up.
shooting uphill and downhill is like
you
it's like a
go.
triangle.
Yeah?
You know, it doesn't matter whether it's if on a triangle you have two equal sides and then a long side. Well, the long side is the straight line distance. Doesn't matter whether you're at the bottom shooting up or at the top shooting down.
The angle's the angle.
The angle is the angle.
So it's going to be...
It's an old wives' tale that you add yardage shooting uphill.
right.
There's a lot of people that believe that, but you
Okay.
don't.
How
It's-
did
it's
they kill
uphill or
deer?
downhill?
How did they kill deer?
We're not done.
By shooting
Knock, knock.
downhill
Knock,
out of a
knock.
tree
Who's there?
stand before they had rangefinders and
Knock,
told
knock.
them how to do all this.
Knock, knock, Vinny. Knock, knock. Say who's there.
No.
Then don't answer the door anymore.
Well, it's one of the things you go to. I mean, you get to certain. I would have to go back and look at the chart, but somewhere around 25 degrees is a 10% cut.
Okay.
So if it's a
If you're sitting in, say,
if
a
it's
15,
30 yard
20...
if
Okay.
if it's a 30-yard shot, 10% of 30 yards is 3 yards.
Or just-
So is it going to
What-
be greater shooting at a deer right underneath your stand than it is
Well, you're
a
shooting
deer 30 yards out?
at 90 degrees. I mean, we've already had that discussion before. If you're shooting multiple pins, you'd probably use your 50-yard pin
Right. Okay.
going straight down.
just aim bottom third, and if it floats a little high, it's still dead deer.
Yeah, because you reach a point. Just as an example, last weekend we had one of the rat targets that was at 9 yards, but it was a 47-degree angle. Okay,
How did you know it was a 47-degree angle?
with an angle finder.
Duh.
Okay.
Do
What
you
if,
use the one on your phone, or do you have an actual angle finder?
I had both,
Yeah.
but I
How
actually I
accurate
used,
He's a
was
Boy
it?
Scout.
I used
How-
the
Did you
app.
doubt?
I used the app on my phone.
Was you finding it was being
Yes,
pretty consistent?
Archer's Mark. The cuts it was outstanding.
I mean, what about the angle finder on Archer's Mark though?
The clinometer?
clinometer.
It worked fine. It worked great.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah. When you put the application in your phone, you have to zero it.
Calibrate it.
Yeah, calibrate it. There you go.
Okay,
But,
so
yeah, it works.
So
Yeah,
your
it works
speed of
pretty
your bow, the speed of your bow will affect that too, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like I've got 3 different bow and arrow setups in my program, right? Oh. So the bow I was using, I had that. It was on that program.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's already set up and it's got everything calculated in the program.
So I have another question.
But like when you're shooting the bunny target, for instance, a regular bunny target, and why does one guy say I use my 50-yard pin, or the other next guy says he uses his 30-yard pin? You know, for the close-up shots. I'm talking. You can take it away. The last shot on the bunny walk-up.
Well, as an example, when you start looking at things like that, okay.
Tell them what a bunny walk-up is first.
Well, a bunny walk-up is a 20-centimeter target, which is about the size of
So
a
you're
Vegas,
only like 5 inches away from the
Vegas
deal
10
when you
ring.
shoot it.
No, you shoot it from 35. The target, dude.
He was clarifying that for Gary.
I'm ready. I'm in now.
I knew it. I just wanted to make sure
I'm
everybody
in it to
knew
win it.
Just as an example, I had 2 different setups that I took with me, right? I had a backup setup. One of them, the 20-foot and 25-foot,
You carried 2 bows with you.
you shot for 21. And one of them was 21 and 25 yards for the 25 and 20, and the other one was 22 and 26. Just
So 25 and 20.
for the 25-foot and 20-foot.
Hut.
I have a theory, Bob.
The numbers are killing
Field
me.
field archery. That's why they call. I heard it called the thinking man sport. I love it.
So you're saying we're all stupid, is what you're saying.
Pretty
That's what you
much.
said.
I'm
Yep.
guessing my number and your number would be different because we have different peep heights.
It could be. Yeah.
Drop the mic. I'm out.
And you have
Wow. That was impressive.
different peep to pin distances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how's an average hunter supposed to know?
You're just
An
screwed.
average hunter is shooting at a kill zone.
Practice.
Yeah. The numbers we're talking is hitting that dime-sized X ring.
Right.
I was going to
So,
ask you if you use your clinometer out of your tree stand. when you're
Pip,
hunting.
whenever you're getting ready for 3D or whenever you're getting ready for Field Thunder or whatever, you guys use a sight leveler like the Hamsky and make sure your third axis
Yep,
is on and everything
absolutely.
else. And then you use an app and everything to get your yardages like on your field and things like that. And you can even use an app in 3D, right?
You can.
Sure.
So the average hunter doesn't have that. Can he just get up in a tree stand and sight his bow in?
He can, yeah. If
And
you know
that-
where you're
and
hunting
that
all
way-
the time.
Yeah.
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 Your average thing, say you take a 20-yard shot. And
Where let me finish real quick. Where you guys are sighting in on the ground, but then the little computer on your phone, basically the little
Compensates
program
for it.
compensates for it. You can figure that out.
Guys,
Where-
something
But
you've got to understand. If you're 15 foot up in a tree, even say 20 foot up in a tree, and you've got a 20-yard shot out there, even if you're aiming dead on with a 20-yard pin that you've got zeroed it on the flat and level, you're only going to hit an inch or so high.
Yeah, it's not like you're missing by feet.
If you make a perfect shot, you're only going to. But in field archery, that's enough to be out of the 5 ring.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But on a kill zone on an animal, you're only talking. It's just a skosh.
But if you're in the mountains and you're,
We can't take you there because we haven't been to the mountains.
I know, but
Yeah, we're not Western hunters.
That's a good point.
But-
That's a very good point right there.
that even got a fist bump.
It did.
So
From the 2 senior pros.
yep.
Reunited.
And we don't have
It
any
feels so
corduroy
good.
guide pants either. So
It's Kurgat.
They don't know what they're missing, do they, Bob? They really don't. He's not wearing
But
pantyhose.
if a guy's going out into the mountains, he might be shooting some extreme angles uphill and downhill.
absolutely.
I would imagine there's an app for it that can.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things that
But you don't have
really
time
need
with
to-
an elk.
Hold up, Muley. I'm going to app you.
It's something. If you know you're
You're
going to
not
the high
right.
country, like even elk,
Hey,
doll sheep, something like that. Yeah, you better be practicing on angles because if you take as an example, okay, one of the targets that we had this weekend was it was 30 yard straight line, okay, but it was 25 or 26 degrees.
Okay.
So to hit that little small X-ring, you cut 4 point some yards off of it.
4 whole yards.
So you were shooting it at like 26 yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're going to shoot completely
that's
over that animal if you don't compensate for that.
That's at a 25-degree angle. Mm-hmm. So as that angle increases, the cut becomes even more. So on my bow, I'm thinking, if I remember right, 25 degrees was a 30% cut. Or not a 30%, a 10% cut. But, I mean, it's somewhere around there.
I mean, and the app, all it does is make it handy. You can technically spend the time and shoot all the arrows and
all I know
write on notebooks and full of crap. And,
I don't have one.
And a lot of the pros do that
on the field stuff. I mean, it's like the tournaments. You can use a rangefinder that cuts the angles for you.
I would recommend the guys new to bow hunting and just getting into bow hunting that are shooting pins or whatever. Go set them up somewhere where they can shoot elevated and see for themselves.
Shoot it, see what it's doing.
We all did it.
Exactly.
I had a tree stand set up right out back
right
here that we all did it from until we figured out, okay, this is what we got to do. Now it's second nature.
Yeah, it's a matter of just holding a little bit. I mean, I hunt with a single pin set at 25 yards. If I've got a 20-yard shot, well, I got to hold just a little low. You know,
don't overthink it. Just hold
just
low.
do it. Yeah.
Shoot it.
I was thinking, man, 25 degrees is cold.
It's I mean, it's just one of those things of knowing your
that's perfect.
Knowing your equipment and being comfortable with it.
Right.
Gary's an
Well,
asshole.
that's like we were talking about. I had a young man that shot his first set of field over there, and he was using his hunting setup and everything else. And we got to talking about, hitting right or left or however, and so pay attention to your bubble.
Bubble.
What's that?
He said, I don't ever look at that. I said, there you go. You got.
Why
and
you're hitting
then we got to talking. I said, well, actually, if your third axis isn't set up, it may not make any difference.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, and he didn't even have a clue as to what that was.
No.
Well, and a lot of your more inexpensive hunting sites
don't have it.
Even some of your expensive hunting sites don't have a third axis.
And how important is a third axis adjustment to a guy sitting in a tree stand?
To your normal Midwestern 20-yard shot, not very.
No.
But how important is a bubble?
Very important.
What will it do if your bubble goes off to the left? Where are you going to hit?
If your bubble goes clear off to the left, you're going to hit quite a ways to the left.
Well, remember when we were
To the left or
I mean,
to the right?
To the right. I'm sorry.
when we were in Colorado, we're standing on the side of a hill shooting, and I'm shooting a little bit off, and Michael goes, "The hill's going to do that," and I'm like,
Yeah, you got to
"Okay."
bubble into the
I didn't
hill.
catch what he said right at the first, and he goes, "The hill's going to do that."
That's one thing about field archery.
Put
you're
the
shooting
bubble
on-
back up,
Yeah.
right back where I wanted to hit.
So he's saying make sure you watch your bubble is what he was
Yeah,
saying?
you
That's
gotta
what he said. He
live
goes,
and
just
die-
make sure
live
you're
and
watching.
die by that
He
bubble.
goes, make sure you're watching your bubble, and the next 3 or 4 shots are right where
How
they need
can
to
a
be.
normal guy tell whether the bubble is level? Forget about the third axis adjustment. We can go into that later.
If there's if he doesn't have a Hamskia or some way, you can put your bow in a vise, or you can hang it from a hook and put a regular 4-foot level from like limb pocket to limb pocket to see if it's hanging plumb.
if you had a level door jam, even
Yeah.
You
Door-
could do
door
it with a
jam.
little door jam.
If you know it's
Same
level.
thing.
right. Make sure it's
And-
put a level on it. Make sure it's level and put your bow
Plumb.
Yeah,
Make sure it's plumb.
Yeah.
Vertical is plumb.
Right.
So once that's done, you can check the bubble on your sight to see if it's level.
And on some of the cheaper sites, about the only thing you could probably do is loosen up the sight and shim it.
Yep.
or bend it.
Yeah, or bend
Yep.
it. Yeah. I mean, you may be able to. I've tried popping them out before and re-gluing them in, and sometimes that could not have good results.
You can also hang them from
So-
a hook
Yeah.
and see where everything's lining up.
Right.
Okay, here's another question we got into. All right, there was a target a few years ago. I was level, okay, getting ready to shoot it. Everything was level. But as you went back to the target, the landscape started dropping off, okay? And it was like a 28, 30-yard shot. And the animal was a foam target.
It was
And
facing downhill,
It was
too?
facing downhill.
Your tendency is to want to line up
With-
square up with the animal.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, so
You got to do the opposite.
yeah. And that just does not compute in this little brain of mine, because if you took the animal plumb away and put just a circle target there, you wouldn't have to, right?
When you draw into the hill, top your cam, lean your top cam into the hill, and then let it settle. And that's
one of the
because you relax the level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean it's just like if you're aiming and
Where did you get all this from?
Your target's
I don't know, I'm
set like
pretty
this.
impressed.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Vinny cast next podcast.
That'll suck.
But I mean, to me, I for a long time I couldn't figure out why that was throwing me off. But like I said, I guess it was because of the animal's back or whatever, and you were
you want to line up at the back, square up with it. That's your natural tendency.
Yeah, and so that was throwing me basically to the downhill side.
When you have to correct for that on something like that, it feels totally unnatural to go the other way with it.
And then you're kind of torquing your bow a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and that's why you got to watch that bubble, make sure your form's there and your hands relaxed. And
well, that's like that 65-yard shot on your all's field back over there, the 65-yarder.
Mm-hmm.
That at the end of the state shoot, you could draw a line up and down, and there was a whole slug of arrows, holes to the right.
That's why one of the things you always do.
Are you getting this, Gibson?
When you shoot field archery, especially if you're later and following a bunch of groups, you look at the target through the binoculars and see what the tendencies are.
Yeah. But to me, it didn't make sense because we were pretty flat. I mean, we weren't. I think the guy on the right might have had a little tilt to him.
Much.
But at 65 yards, it sure doesn't. And
you probably wouldn't notice it at 20, but at 65,
yeah,
it's
65, it makes a big difference. So yeah, it was. But that, field archery, it's
I love
3D. 3D. I just screwed the pooch myself.
No, but you know what?
But field
your
archery,
3D would be better if you shot those terrain shots like you shoot field shots.
Exactly.
Because I've had my 3D game help my field game from all the 3Ds that I shot over the years, especially St. Joe, Ridgeway, some of those up in there that were uphill, downhill.
Yep.
I mean, that's where we cut our teeth, and, it all helps. One complements the other.
Yeah. Where I grew up, there's nothing flat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely nothing flat.
Your head.
But I know what my problem is. Now, I know after this past weekend, I sat back down and thought about it. It's mainly focus on the shot, and each shot, what's going to happen to it. I have a tendency that I just get up there and look at it. Rangefinder, you could use rangefinder, not a whole lot, so you got to range it. But the shots that I would really pay attention to that was a little bit harder, I made way better shots than the ones that were just.
You can't take any of them for granted.
I know it, and that's.
Well, and I
So
think
what you're saying is, you know what you need to work on. You had a rough weekend, but you know what you need to work on. You're going to come home and work on it a lot, and I'm going to be ready for the next one.
No, because it's
I
over.
thought that was the Pat Facebook answer.
No,
Take a picture.
I think a lot of us too. We go to our local
I had a
3Ds
comment
and we
on- can you
go
make
out
it
to have a
live?
good time, and we're not that worried about it. We're just going out to shoot and.
Oh, I'm awesome when it don't matter. And it shouldn't matter, period. I mean, just it is what it is. Shoot.
but one of these days, I hope to get. If I'm a 30 target range, I hope I can go up there, focus, and decide this is how I'm going to shoot this shot, and I'm going to shoot it and really burn a hole in the spot that I want to shoot.
You got to put a priority on it.
But I don't know if I'll ever get that serious. I don't.
You don't have to be serious. Just put a
I
priority.
mean, serious when my bow comes back.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm.
that's where you got to do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's a little prep work before you actually draw the bow and think about where your target's at.
Got to do the mental part. We better wrap up pretty quick.
We probably better.
And we got
You
a
guys got anything
comment.
else?
We got a comment on one thing. Jack's going to post a picture of. We got a comment earlier from this gal on Facebook. We were doing the Facebook Live, and it says something about what somebody's out shooting, watching guys that don't shoot. When she was watching our video,
Oh.
Jack's going to post a picture on Instagram and probably on Facebook.
Oh, ouch.
And this picture,
I'm out of this. I wash my hands of
this
you people.
picture is going to be of somebody that apparently was shooting and now is looking for arrows. Because someone may or may not have forgot to set her sight right, and she might be in the middle of a bean field looking for arrows.
Might be or might not be.
Oh, she was.
Was.
She probably, since it's getting dark, currently going toward the house.
So no Luminox.
Yeah, so now somebody is not shooting either. So just wanted to point that out. Vinny, good luck when you get home.
I'm glad I'm dropping you off at your truck.
We're not on Facebook Live. She's not going to know this till the next podcast.
And
That's
that
even
says
better.
it all right
That's
there.
the picture.
That says it all.
Get off the phone. Don't
That's on
warn her.
Instagram.
Don't warn
you
her.
warn her. Let her find it on her own.
All right.
Hey, let's everybody say bye. You can go see us at thebowdudes.com, and it's got everything else you need to know on there. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Download us. You can go to the Bowdudes website, or you can go to Outdoor Podcast channel.
We appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. See ya.
You guys rock tonight.
Shut up and shoot.
Awesome.
Thanks, Curly.
It was good everybody was here.
Welcome.
See you in the funny papers. Yeah, it was good
Really?
that everybody was here.
Really,
nice.
Curly?
We're just missing
Curly.
one thing.
Well.
We're just missing one thing, and here it comes.
Bicycle.
Woo!